Thank you so much for being here today for the Alive in the Spirit briefing and question and answers. So for this time together, Richard and I will guide you through the next little time, and there'll be opportunity for questions and answers. But as we come together, we want to share this time together to share the latest information about how to engage with this virtual conference. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional landowners of the various places from which we gather. And I ask for God to be with us as we seek to be alive in the Spirit in our time together this afternoon. So as I mentioned, my name is Lisa Bright. I am the coordinator of the Alive in the Spirit conference. So to begin our time together today, I'd like to throw over to Richard, who will lead us in our first part of our briefing today.
Thanks very much, Lisa, and welcome everyone. So Richard McMahon from the Alive in the Spirit team. Lisa's going to pop up the agenda for our time together, and so we've just got a bit of an idea of where we're going. Basically, what we'll see here is that we're just a bit of an overview for those of you who might still be trying to think about it, the why, what and who of Alive in the Spirit. Bit of the conference news. Lisa will be sharing that with who's engaging and just where the message is getting out. I'll be going through then the idea of especially what's happening with the groups or hub spaces and how we can customize the experience. And then it's back to Lisa, who's going to share about how we can promote the Spirit and the conference. And we'll be finishing off with that time of Q&A. And thanks, Lisa. So now I'm going to pop up the screen of the actual website. So just it's the aliveinthespirit.com.au, and on this screen this gives us a good clues as to what's it all about. So we start off with the why, and you can see right underneath the video there, which is a useful thing of course to share with anyone: new vision, new energy, new life. This conference is strongly about the idea that we're coming out of this time of COVID, that it's an opportunity for our communities to re-engage, reconnect. And in Australia, we also have the added sense of moving towards the plenary council. Within this space where we've brought together a few key groups to support it, you can see there, but before we go to that, that there's this sense of these three tiles are quite interesting. The one is that we're trying to shape the experience for our communities, and we'll be hearing more about that. The second, of course, is the variety of experiences that we can engage in this conference. And the third tile talks about the different groups that this conference is hoping to attract. Now on the bottom then we find our keynotes and information about them. Who's behind it? The Mission Planners Network, the Pastoral Ministry Network, and the Christian Initiation of Australia Network. And so importantly, those three groups, there's a strong RCIA component through the Christian Initiation. For anyone in that space will have some terrific benefits, and there's key conference streams. The Pastoral Ministry Network particularly looks at that broader space of anyone in ministry and just ensuring that there's support for them, be it that in a parish, in a school, a hospital, chaplaincies, etc. Mission planners look more so at the strategic planning and future planning for our church for mission. We also at this stage just acknowledge our sponsors again, our Ploterman sponsors in particular, the Diocese of Parramatta, Grief Care, Catholic Cemeteries and Crematoria. And there's other sponsors, of course, which we're very grateful for. That sponsors list is getting updated as new sponsors are coming on board, which is terrific. If we go back up the top then, you'll see just a few of our menu tabs. The register tab is obviously one we're hoping gets hit a lot. If we go though to the workshops, now there's a whole bunch of workshops. What we're doing in terms of feedback we've received, we've got over 30 workshops in here now. And we know that people coming on board are sort of trying to find their way around and work out what workshops which. So we're going to put a little series of just a hyperlink so that you can see the workshops at a glance just at the top of this page. So that's coming soon, but we're excited about the variety and the richness of those workshops that are coming in. The program is another handy menu item. This gives you a sense of, well, how might be the flavour of the 3 days. So you can see there the Thursday evening, a live component, which is of course the first keynote as well, which is going to be exploring the signs of the times. We move into the Friday experience, and you can see there that once we have the keynote in the morning, there's this on-demand period. And that's when we have the opportunity to really take the conference at our pace in terms of what workshops we might want to experience. And there's other things such as you can see the prayer and music experiences, delving deeper, which is sort of one-on-one conversations, perhaps with workshop presenters. And we've also got networking opportunities with other participants in the conference. So there's lots of different ways we can experience it. And then finally, you can see on the Saturday, a very similar sort of format, a live component, on demand, and back to some a live closing ceremony. That's the program. And if we take it back up the top, the final thing we wanted to see on here was the resources page. And on the resources page, might just take a while to come up on your screen, but you'll see there that has all sorts of things up here. In particular, today we're going to be talking about the media kit and parish kit, but you'll notice that we're populating that with just a few more bits and pieces to make it, if you're wanting to present this either to the parish community or through diocesan channels, you can pop some of these videos, etc. Out there. So I'll stop there and we'll go back to Lisa, who's going to share just a little bit around what is actually happening in the conference news around this space. Thanks, Lisa.
Sure. Thanks, Richard. So you may have seen the conference already being promoted and advertised through media outlets like Cath News in Australia and New Zealand. Cath News also in New Zealand wrote an article supporting the conference, and the media release was also on the Cath News Australia website. You may have seen that the conference was also picked up by Vatican News. So if you follow Vatican News Facebook page, you would have seen the New Zealand article picked up there as well. So that was wonderful to have that publicity there. But any of those articles that you see, you might feel free to share that or all the media release on your various social media platforms as well. So it's been great that the news has been getting out there. You would have also seen possibly some advertising and banners, etc., through diocesan magazines. And thank you to all of you who have been promoting that through your diocesan networks. You may have seen it in the Swag, in Madonna magazine, in Australian Catholics, if you received that bulletin, and also in Cath News as well, the advertising there. So we are really sharing and really promoting the conference, encouraging everyone to be part of it. We've also had great interest. The registrations are trickling in every day, which is wonderful. We've had interest from parishes, and today we will focus on the parish hubs and how they work and how we can best make the most of the conference for communities, from youth ministry, from schools and social welfare. We've had particularly teachers. It is during the school holidays, so it might be an opportunity for some teachers to come together for just a day or two, if they're able to do that during their holidays, for some professional formation as well. So that might be another option for people to come together. We've had already inquiries and how we're going to how people have engaged with us. They've called us and shared with us. So we've had in one diocese a catechist coordinator. It is during the holidays, as I said, so obviously the teachers at the catechists aren't going into the schools. So she's organising a time for those 3 days for her catechists to come together to register as a community, and therefore they can experience it together as a group of catechists as part of their professional development. So that was wonderful to hear that. The great thing is, because this the workshops and the conference itself for those who've registered is available for 6 months, it can be something that's ongoing. So you're obviously not going to experience all the workshops over those couple of days, but it's something that can be done over the next few months as well. We also have been speaking with some RCIA teams, because there is a strong RCIA component, and we have Max here who will be leading some of those workshops. There is a really strong RCIA arm. So RCIA teams are coming together as their formation, particularly I know a lot of groups are starting to move into that time in the next couple of months. What are the different skills, etc., or the information they can glean to be able to enhance their teams? So we've had some groups talk to us about how they're going to use it, again, to coming together as RCIA teams. We've also had one of our parish priests down in the Wollongong Diocese. They are unable to gather as a group, as a parish that weekend. They're encouraging individual people to partake in the conference that weekend. But what they're going to do, that they are going to hold the Alive in the Spirit conference using the on-demand keynotes and the workshops as part of a parish mission that they're going to hold in 1 week in August between the Feast of Mary MacKillop and Assumption. So they're encouraging people to experience it at the time in July, but then they're going to use it as a parish mission in August. So that was so exciting to hear how they can do that and how they can really use the resources post that weekend itself. So I'm going to throw back to Richard in terms of sharing with us how group registration works.
Thanks, Lisa. And look, it is exciting. We are getting some feedback around people that want to use this as a group experience. How does that work with a conference? I think we've all had our share of, like even today, this sense of jumping on and you've got people talking at you. You're an individual, maybe sitting in your office, maybe you bring a few people into your office and you sit there. It might work for a half an hour or an hour. What happens over a space of 2.5 days? We want to make this an experience that whether you're with a group of friends that come together, whether it's some staff, whether it is one of these teams that Lisa was mentioning, maybe it's a bigger group like a parish, how might you structure that time together? I think it's a really good question, because otherwise we begin to flounder a little bit, I think, in the parish space, because we have a lot of demands on our plate and would like to think that there could be some back-end support available to make life a little bit easier for us. Well, you've come to the right place, because up on the screen you'll see the parish kit, and this is quite an extensive booklet. This is, as I showed you before, on the resources tab and on the website, and you can download that, and then you have this in your arsenal. So you can see that in the kit you can find obviously what the conference offers the parish, how to create this experience, whether it's for a parish or other community or that small group of you and your few friends, and ways to promote the conference within your network. It goes again about what the conference already is offering, in case you weren't sure. And then it says, okay, well, how might this enhance your community experience though? So the great thing about this is, and I'll just focus on these 4 dot points, you have an opportunity then to say, well, what's our vision and our goals for the conference? What do we want to make it? It might be a spiritual retreat. It might be to enhance your ministry groups in what they're doing, or it might be a visioning exercise for the whole community. It then, as I mentioned, it gives you ways to invite people to engage in that experience. Interestingly here, Friday daytime and nighttime streams are offered. So it gives you a way of customizing the experience for people that might be working, so that they don't miss out on some of the key live component experiences. And then it suggests that if you've got a bigger group, that you can break into these small group hubs, and they might all have different workshops that they're focusing on, depending on the experience that you have. Even if you all wanted to look at the same workshop streams, you could still break into smaller groups for ease of discussion. Now, how much work is it? The kit looks pretty big. Yes, it is. It's about 22 pages, but look, only a few pages are the actual building blocks. The rest is all support materials like letters, sample notes that you can put into bulletins, etc. Anything to make it easier for you. So let's just quickly have a look at that. So this just takes us through the sample parish program. So it's talking about, you can imagine, bringing together people for a light supper. Some of you might have had an Alpha experience, or the old cafe style experiences, or even Lenten programs. All these are the same sort of thing here. We bring people together, give them some hospitality. Obviously, we then show the live stream, but then we can break into some small groups and then have some prayer on the ground wherever you are. The same sort of thing happens during the day on the Friday. Then you can see this group hub experience starts to happen. With the group hub, we we find that there is where you can either jump in your cars and go off to people's houses, or maybe you're lucky enough to be in our parish. We've got a few breakout rooms, so you could head out there. A lot of the action then takes place just in that setting. And you can see there the example of what it mentions. This is only an example, but you could then say, we're going to do our first workshop. We'll have a time for debrief. And then we're jumping on to another workshop. Then we're going to have some lunch, enjoy the live content that's available. So you jump back on the live feed. There's a check-in sort of time as well around then. And in the afternoon, we'll do one more workshop. And then we're into looking at a few networking opportunities with other participants across the Oceania region. So that gives a nice example of ways in which you can engage. When we come back to the evening, we're back, everyone could come together again for that parish hub experience, and maybe some time for night prayer together, etc. But Saturday, it's the same sort of thing will happen there, and it gives you that example of what can happen. This page in the kit is probably at the heart, because this is talking about prompts, little prompts for you with whatever little team that you put together to say, well, okay, what's our vision and hopes? And it gives you pages in this little kit to help you answer these questions. You can see them all there, the sorts of groups you might want to invite. Next steps for our parish after the conference. And there's some sort of tin tacks here too, making sure you've got like your password, etc., and all those sorts of things, so you can have an easy guide here to write everything in. And you can see when it comes up on your screen, when the page actually changes color a little bit, it's not that white background. This is the space where you go through these steps, 1 through to 10, quite simply then just to work everything out. What's our vision? What's the team that we're getting together for this and the key people? Making sure we've registered. That'd be a bit sad if you didn't. How are we going to communicate, etc. And so it goes, including things like the setup for your parish space, the setup for your group hubs. And then it's all the detail for each of those sections. Here we see the shape. So this is, I was saying, about ministry strengthening or spiritual renewal or planning for mission. And it gives you suggested sort of layouts for 3 threads of how your group or community might tackle the conference. Let's move through some of this. It's very, very detailed. You know, you might say some of it's telling you how to suck eggs, but sometimes it's good to know that because we haven't got much time and we just go through things as we need to. What I'd like to focus on for finish this part though is the actual parish hub MCs and group hub leaders, hosts. They're probably key people at your end. You want to have good facilitators. If you have a group experience, you want to have good MCs. How might that work for you? Well, at the end of this kit, we start finding some of the templates. So you can see here, there's a template as a parish letter. Then we're into all the other templates that you could put up on your, say, your website or on your bulletin. But the back end of this is really good because it offers an MC role, and it gives 3 pages to support someone that might have to be up front in at your community hub, and what they might have to say at each time, and just how they can keep things on track. So it's a really good guide if you're wanting someone to step up as MC. And after those 3 pages, we move into a group hub leader and host role. And here we see that again, it goes into a bit like again for the Lent program or some other small group experience. It gives us some ideas about setting up your sacred space, about how you might welcome people. What happens when you're in the debriefing session after a workshop if the people don't know each other that well? So all those things that we might come to expect if someone's quiet, there's a long silence, someone dominating a session, etc. So the kit tries to be as comprehensive as possible to make life as easy as possible. And we really hope that that will encourage parish groups and other groups to come on board. Registration for a group is $200, and that allows the 5 individual registrations as well. So if you find that you're in a group, a parish with a large parish, and you want like 10 groups, etc., you'll need to talk to us about giving you a few more of those individual registrations to enable more group hubs to operate. The only other thing I want to share before jumping back to Lisa is what happens after the conference. Lisa's already mentioned that this one parish is going to have their mission experience in August. So the great thing about a virtual conference is that all those keynotes will be available, plus the workshops once you've registered, for you to customise your experience later in the year. You can even have your key coordinating team go through a lot of that detail beforehand, so they're well prepared. We've had some inquiries from people within schools like REC saying we might want to use it for our staff, for family ministers wanting to use aspects of workshops with parent groups in the coming months. Yes, that's what the idea of this is. So once you have signed up for the conference, you have access to all the materials until Christmas. So you've got a great opportunity to really, again, customise, reimagine that experience after the conference. And we're hoping to be in touch too in terms of creating an online experience such as this to check in with you to see how you're going and some of the creative ideas people are using, so that Alive in the Spirit continues well after the 3 days in July. So back to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Richard. So what I'm going to share now is a little bit about the media kit. So the media kit, some of you would have already received it in the email in the invitation to this briefing, but also too, Richard showed before on the resources page, you can access it via the resources page. So the media kit is great in terms of what all the assets that you need to promote it, either in parish bulletins, diocesan newsletters, on social media platforms, are all available in this document. We've made it a Word document rather than a PDF, so then we don't lose quality when it's compressed to a PDF. It just gives some initial information about what the conference is, etc. And we've also got access to our various social media platforms. So if you like our social media platforms, which you can do via the kit, or if you go onto the website, you'll also see down the bottom, it has those links to those social media platforms. You can share those, the things that we post over the coming weeks, you can share them on your own platforms, or you can copy and paste it for your own newsletters. In this document, we have included all JPEGs of flyers and other graphics, but if you require something more specific or you require a PDF, please let me know and I can send those to you. You might want to create your own ads. So in the media kit, we do have the logo there that we do encourage you to use. As Richard shared on the resources page, there are the videos. So you might choose once a week, you might put a different video on about the Alive in the Spirit conference. So the introductory video, there's a video from our workshop presenters, there's a video from just some voices of conference. You might choose to do that once a week to encourage people as to what the conference might be about. As we go on, you'll see there's some bulletin notices that you include, or you can use these for social media. We have on the resources page a PowerPoint slide that you can download and use for parish notices during masses or any other places that you might use PowerPoint to advertise upcoming events. And there's also a prayer of the faithful. So we do ask our parish communities or other communities that do pray and gather for prayer to keep the Spirit, or to keep the Alive in the Spirit conference in your prayers as we move towards our online gathering. So there's a prayer of the faithful that we do encourage you to use and share amongst your communities. So as we see here, there are different JPEGs of flyers, some with more information, some with less information, depending on how you want to use the promotional material. So something like this, the black and white or the color, depending on how people prepare their bulletins, you might just want to copy and paste those, encouraging people always to access the website. And that's where you'll see most of the information on the website. We've used some of these advertisements. Someone noted that it was advertised in the recent edition of the Swag, which is great. And some of those can be then transferable to our newsletters as well. All these can be used for, particularly these square ones, for social media, on social media platforms. So you can put like that square tile, you can pop that on your social media platform, and then just in the text, you might want to include one of the notices that you found earlier on. So they're the different assets that are available for your use. So as I said, some of you would have received that via email already, or if not, it's available via the website there, via the resources page. Different ways you can use it via social media. I know I've spent the last couple of days via my own Facebook account and via my own Twitter account, just putting a blurb on there about the conference and a social media tile. I'm linked to a number of different groups and pages on social media. So I've shared it within those groups. Some of you might be the Australian Catholics page, for example. I've shared it in that as a member. So if you're in part of some of those networks that people want to share and grow faith, you might use those assets, just copy the tile, copy one of the notices and pop that into your social media platform. And that way we can share the news about the conference and encourage people to register as well.
Yeah, so we've got 5 additional licenses that you receive when you do the group registration. So that basically is going to offer you 5 breakout spaces. If you find that people, and that will have to be communicated obviously to your parish community, because people might say, look, I want to have the individual experience. Well, then they have to sign up for the individual registration. So, but I hope that's making sense, that you'll receive additional licenses so that you're not caught out with just that one registration.
For whatever reason, because as you say, anything can change in 24 hours as we've seen. And if other states, etc., are in such a lockdown and parishes can't gather together, then obviously we will do what we can in that time we have available to ensure that as many people can still experience something wonderful in that lockdown experience, even though we can't gather face to face. So we'll be watching that space very carefully and obviously responding it as the best we can. Our intention over the next couple of weeks is really to contact as many parishes as we can to invite them to the conference, because we know if we had this face-to-face, we know there are communities that wouldn't be able to come face-to-face, even without COVID, because of financial restrictions and simply distance, accommodation, all that sort of thing. So we're really seeing this as an amazing opportunity for our whole church to gather together for a wonderful experience, a really spirit-filled experience. So if anyone either yourself or people that might have some time that might be able to offer us a day or two, maybe a day a week, just for the next few weeks, we really want to contact, as we said, as many parishes as we can. So hopefully that's not too time consuming, but we do have a script that we are inviting people to follow, plus a bit of a flow chart in terms of how the different ways people might respond, but just really to share information, to encourage communities to look at this, as we said, as a time for renewal for parish, as a parish mission. I've had inquiries from some of our own parishes in our diocese of ways that they want to begin faith formation in their diocese. What a wonderful opportunity to launch it with such a weekend such as the Alive in the Spirit conference. So if you do have any volunteers in your communities, in your parishes, in your diocese that do have a little bit of time maybe to offer in helping us ring some of those parishes, please do let us know, and we'd reach out to them to see how we can work together in spreading the news for the conference. look, as you go away, if you think of anything, as you see anything coming up on our website, or hopefully our newsletters will start in a few weeks on our social media platforms. If you see anything there that you do have questions about, you all have email addresses. There's email addresses via the website, or the contact page via the website. Some of you have my numbers, and I think my numbers are available on all those different resources on there. Please give us a call. We want to make this conference as accessible as we can, for as many people to participate as we can. So any way that you can share that information, or we can make it easier, please do let us know. So in terms of moving forward, what I ask is just a bit of a call to action. So please, I encourage you to register yourselves, or to invite others to register, to like anything you see via social media, to share anything you see on social media or via different bulletins and that, to share what you've seen, but also to tell people about it. When people say, oh, you know, like, what can I do to really enliven myself? You know, I'm a bit flat, or, you know, particularly what we are suffering in our world at the moment. You know, what's one way that we can boost our spirits? Well, we can share the Alive in the Spirit conference, which is a wonderful way that they can participate, as we said, either as a group or individually, to hopefully be renewed and refreshed in their mission for the church. So I thank you everyone for your time today, and hope that has shed some light on some of the different things that have been happening in the past few weeks as we move towards conference. I can share with you that we have been recording workshops this week, and there's some amazing material being presented. So I'm really excited to be able to launch that on that weekend on the 9th of July. So really looking forward to sharing that with you. Please do be in contact should you have any questions or need any further information. Thank you to Richard for all the work that you've put into our parish kit, and sharing that information, sharing your vision with how we can create community together.